In the quiet community of Robinson, Texas, just south of Waco, the morning of November 9, 2005, began like any other. The air was calm, the streets still, and the small-town rhythm carried its usual peace. But that peace would soon be broken. At 6:11 in the morning, a frantic call reached emergency dispatch. A woman's voice, trembling and breathless, reported that something terrible had happened inside her home. She said her husband was hurt, possibly dying. That single phone call would unravel one of the most shocking tragedies the town had ever seen. This is the story of Darlene and Keith Gentry. Darlene Doskasil was born on November 2, 1974. She was the middle of 3 daughters in a close and loving family. From an early age, she stood out for her confidence, charm, and natural warmth. Friends and relatives remembered her as bright, ambitious, and kind. She had an energy that made people feel welcome wherever she went. Growing up in Central Texas, Darlene became known for her bright smile and easy charisma. Though she never entered a pageant, classmates called her the Texas Beauty Queen. She was elected prom queen, joined the Flag Corps, and was always involved in school activities. Her beauty caught attention, but it was her genuine personality that earned her affection. She made friends easily and left a lasting impression on everyone she met. After graduating from Yo High School in 1993, Darlene enrolled at Texas State Technical College in Waco. She began training as a dental assistant but dreamed of becoming a nurse one day. It was during this time that she met the man who would change the course of her life, Keith Gentry. Keith was born in Waco on September 2, 1974. He grew up in Robinson, surrounded by a large and loving family. He had 2 sisters and many relatives who adored him. Those who knew Keith described him as quiet, dependable, and kind-hearted. He wasn't the type to seek attention. He simply worked hard and cared deeply for the people he loved. Like Darlene, Keith attended Texas State Technical College, where he studied drafting and welding. After graduation, he secured a steady job as an engineering assistant for a utility company. He was practical, thoughtful, and already focused on building a stable future. When Keith and Darlene met, the connection was immediate. They were both young, hardworking, and full of promise. Their relationship quickly grew serious, and both families embraced the match. To everyone around them, marriage seemed inevitable. But timing wasn't always on their side. By 1997, both had finished school, and while Darlene was ready to settle down, Keith wasn't yet sure. After several heartfelt talks, they made the difficult decision to separate. The breakup left both heartbroken. Hoping for a new start, Darlene moved to Dallas, where she worked as a dental assistant. But city life didn't bring her peace. She felt isolated, homesick, and eventually returned to Central Texas. Fate intervened soon after when she crossed paths with Keith again. This time there was no hesitation. Their reunion rekindled the love they had never truly lost. In 1999, Keith proposed, and the two married shortly after. They bought a home in Robinson right next to Keith's parents. It felt like the beginning of everything they had dreamed of. Although Darlene returned to her dental career, she still longed to fulfill her dream of nursing. Keith supported her decision completely. He was proud of her drive and determination. The couple settled into married life smoothly. They laughed often, shared responsibilities, and seemed to embody the perfect small-town family. By the early 2000s, the Gentrys had built what looked like an ideal life. Keith continued his steady job at the local electric company, while Darlene worked as a nurse. Together they earned a comfortable living, enough to raise a family and enjoy the little luxuries of life. In 2001, their first son, Chase, was born. 2 years later came Cody, and in 2005 they welcomed their youngest, Cade. The Gentrys were admired in their community, attractive, hard-working, and dedicated parents with 3 healthy boys. From the outside, life seemed nearly perfect. But behind closed doors, small cracks had begun to form. Keith's job often required travel, leaving Darlene to manage 3 young children on her own. When he was home, he was usually exhausted. Darlene, juggling motherhood and nursing shifts, began to feel the pressure. The more she took on, the more strain appeared in their marriage. Seeing the toll his absence was taking, Keith made a selfless decision. He left his better-paying job for a lower-salaried position that kept him closer to home. The decision helped their family life but tightened their finances. Over time, money became a constant source of tension. Keith grew frustrated by Darlene's spending habits and felt she didn't fully grasp their new financial limits. Their once easy laughter gave way to quiet arguments and emotional distance. Still, those who knew them never imagined violence could enter their home. Then came the morning of November 9th, 2005. At 6:11 a.m., Darlene called emergency services. She said she had found her husband in bed, covered in blood and struggling to breathe. She described the back door standing open and noticed that several guns from their cabinet were missing. She told the dispatcher she hadn't been in the same room as Keith that night, claiming she had slept with their youngest child, who had been restless. When paramedics arrived, they found Keith still alive but barely. He had been shot once in the head. Darlene appeared shaken but calm, explaining that she discovered him when she got up that morning to start the day. Keith was rushed to Hillcrest Baptist Medical Center in Waco. Despite every effort, his condition was irreversible. 2 days later, on November 11th, he was pronounced dead. A peaceful town had become the scene of a murder. And the investigation into what really happened that morning was only beginning.